This show is sponsored by Lila Arboretum Society. Hi, I'm Vi Gogol, Master Gardener, and you are in the garden. And today's garden, it is Janet Wilson. And you just told us that you'd been on garden tour before, and it was back in 2008.
That's right.
It's a long time ago, and I think things have changed.
Indeed.
And that's what we like to see if we put somebody on a second time, that they've done something different.
Well, good.
I love this spot because you've got your collection of coral bells.
I do. I've tried a lot of things in that bed, and many of them didn't work. Bleeding hearts and hostas just got eaten, and I discovered heucheras, and all of a sudden they started making all these great shades of them. And
Yeah, there's so many varieties.
yeah, just looks like a big candy box to me. And I'm usually not that much a foliage person, but I just really love them, and they love this spot.
Yeah,
so
we like people to realize that it doesn't have to have a flower to put color in the garden.
yeah.
I think that when people come to visit the gardens on garden tour, I think they see that when, especially this with all the colorful foliage. I couldn't even begin to name them.
No.
I see you got some labels on some of them.
Yep, I try to keep tags and put labels, and just so I know and other people know, but I really just pick them mostly based on color and variegation on the leaves and patterns. And the silver ones are probably my favorites, but I like them all.
Yeah, I kind of like it when it's an unusual color, especially if it's like the one that has that you see light and dark on
Right.
them. I like those. The
Yeah.
one right there in front. Okay, well, down around the corner, down to Dave's right, there are some plants.
This is one, there's probably, I don't know, 10 active garden beds in 4.5 acres on this property with just about everything. So things are constantly in a change of flux, and big trees get taken out, and it changes the whole microclimate of the area. So this is probably the shadiest active bed. Bleeding hearts do well, particularly the really old-fashioned ones, but I've started collecting ferns over the last few years.
I see you got white ones down there. Do you have pink ones too?
Yeah, there's kind of a blush one, and then there's a deep red one that I don't think is blooming right now. But
My favorites are still the old-fashions.
Yeah, I like those. And then around a tree, I've got some of the...
That's behind Dave.
Behind Dave, there's some kind of a ring of the hybrid ones that I love them in spring. And actually on the other side of the berm, there's probably about 10 foot of them that bloom in the spring. They love it there. They reseed like crazy.
Really?
And they just look so beautiful in April and May.
Yeah, we're hearing a little bit of traffic noise, but it's probably not near as bad as it would be if you didn't have that berm out there.
Yeah, there's some big oak trees. There's a berm. We try to keep it planted up as much as we can. Pretty major road, and this is as close to it as we live. Most of the time we live kind of in the back of the house, but the garden beds are on the front, and so we hear a bit of it when we wander, but have a big, beautiful plate glass window that looks out over this, so I can sit in my chair and appreciate what's happened.
Okay, and let's maybe move down this sidewalk and get some of these other flowers that you've got here. I see daisies.
Yeah.
Are they Shasta?
Yeah, I think these are just old-fashioned Shasta. Some of the just kind of old-fashioned plants, black-eyed Susans, daisies. have probably wandered, bleeding hearts have wandered around this property and my mom's property when she lived next door for a long time. So the Shastas are one, and then I tried to put in a couple more varieties, found some yellow ones just this morning to introduce. I tend to like one plant of everything.
Well, it's not like, well, they tell you to plant 3 of a thing,
Yeah.
but you have picked out the same flower in multiple colors.
Right.
And it's beautiful. This bed over here, you've got some beautiful cone flowers in here.
Yeah, I've always loved them just in whites and purples, kind of the native coneflower, but they've introduced so many interesting varieties and kind of the hot color palette over the last few years.
Okay, the little I want to say black-eyed Susan, but
Yeah.
it's probably not a black-eyed Susan.
They're called Toto. I think it's in
That's
the
right.
Rudbeckia family.
Yeah, I've had them before.
Yeah, just a little filler. The birds have planted sunflowers, so I kind of transplant them into the bed, but we do a lot of bird feeding. So those end up here.
It's all
Yeah.
kinds of cone flowers. And
The big lilies are tiger lilies, and again, those are very native to the property and my memory of gardens here. When I was a kid, I grew up in this house, but then trying to add some new and interesting varieties in with them.
Asiatic, Orientals.
Yeah.
And then we have Zagreb. Is that the variety of this? Dave, what is this?
Coreopsis?
Coreopsis. I think I don't know. I don't think that's Zagreb.
I don't think so.
It's
It's kind of the fundamental one,
Yeah.
the bright yellow one.
Yeah,
but-
the Zagreb's a little bit more orangey.
Yeah, there's a pink one down there, and then I think I have kind of an autumn red one in here somewhere that's not blooming yet.
Let's move on again here.
Wander along.
Yeah, and let
Yeah, so
Dave can
there's a
follow
little-
us.
So, just palette-wise, I like both hot and warm colors, but don't necessarily love them together. So there's
Yeah,
some transition in this
Yeah.
bed. This will be mostly whites, kind of in the middle. But you move from kind of the yellow, orange, red palette into purples and pinks and
I love the
a
pinks
lot of
and
phlox
purples and blues
veronicas.
together. Yeah. And is that
And lets me, again, have all the plants.
a butterfly bush?
The light lavender one is a butterfly bush.
Okay.
This is I think, no, that's a guara. That might be a guara. I don't know. I have a lot of, I don't remember planting this kind
Yeah.
of plants.
And they're the ones that they look like, the blossoms look like butterflies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And this is a phlox again. I got to make a trip to River Street this morning. This is called Candy Crush.
I like
Right?
that.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Just
They would have to name it after a video game,
yeah,
wouldn't they?
yeah.
And then there's a little path, but then you've got more cone flowers over here. And is that roses?
Yeah, there's
Is that the fairy?
there's some drift roses around the edge, and then some knockouts in the center. Again, kind of a bed that has changed a lot. We're under a really large walnut tree. It's probably an 80-year-old tree. And there's a lot of things will not grow well under walnut trees.
Right, exactly.
So I've tried some things here, but these seem to thrive and enjoy it. So
Especially tomato plants won't grow
yeah.
anywhere near where the roots
right,
are.
yep. And there's
Yeah.
some things that are in that family that are ornamental. And in the spring, this is ringed with daffodils and tulips, so it's kind of my spring bed as well.
Okay, now across the tree that you just mentioned, that's the first that we're seeing of your, what do you call those things?
Well, those are what look like kind of mushrooms or lichen, are actually made out of yarn. And I have a
Yes,
friend named Dawn Hawks, who's a fiber artist who has yarn bombed my yard. So you can see a little bit there, and then we'll have to make sure we get some shots of the trees and the
Yeah.
railing that she's done. So
I think Dave can probably zoom in on the two that are across the driveway over
Yeah.
there.
It's just an interesting way to get some color and texture in the landscape. And this is, it's very much an urban art form. A lot of people in cities do it on park benches, on parking meters, on anything that's stationary, just to brighten it up. And
After I left here, I went home and Googled it. And everything you said was there.
yeah, people do buses and bicycles and cars, but she's done some trees, and I think she just did a wonderful job. She had fun playing with it. So
Well,
Dawn Hawks, talented artist.
Okay, and then the berm is over towards the street, and we are hearing a little bit of traffic noise,
Oh,
but the
okay.
berm really, I'm sure, shields us from a lot of the noise that we would get.
It does, and at one point there were about 8 more blue spruce, large spruce trees that were along that roadside that really shielded, but they died of the kind of the wasting disease that
Yeah,
has taken over. So I keep trying to plant and add,
yeah.
but
Just plant white fir instead of blue spruce
Yeah.
because they last a little bit longer.
yeah,
But that's not a native tree to Michigan. You know, it's a Colorado blue spruce,
yeah,
and it gets diseased here.
yeah. But the berm is, that's always a work in progress because there's 3 sides of this property that really aren't managed, that are forests, that are power lines, that are
Yeah.
kind of wild areas, and so a lot of seeds find their way where I don't want them. So just bit by bit, and I try to, every year it seems like I'm losing ground in one place and gaining ground in another, but I love the variety that I can get just playing with it. And I use the berm as kind of a nursery bed too. I'll try something in the main garden it won't quite take. I'll plop it over in the berm and see if it comes back, and often it does, and it gives me a chance to move it.
Okay, let's go down towards the back of
Okay.
the house. Okay, we're right here by your garden angel. She's watering your snapdragons. Uh, is that called Melva, the pink one?
Yes,
It's
it is.
in the hollyhock
Yep.
family.
It is.
I
It's
love
another native that kind of wanders about the property, and some places I leave it and some places I move it.
I still
But the
have it wandering around my property, and I
Yeah.
haven't cultivated it in a long time.
yeah, and there's a zebra one that's kind of striped. I really like too.
I like that Zebriana.
Yeah. Yep. And the angel, for a long time, I owned 15 years. I owned Springfield Landscape Material on 20th Street. So she was. I didn't bring a lot home because I didn't make money if I brought things home.
Yeah.
But she was one I kept, and I just really enjoy that piece. And there's several. I like garden art
Well,
quite
that-
a bit,
that
and
one's-
I've collected different
That one's
pieces.
got a stone.
Yeah, it's a Celtic cross and just has kind of a stone as part of the sculpture piece. And it's one actually a friend and a couple that I know bought for themselves, and then they gave it to my husband and I when we got married. So I thought that was fun. It kind of wandered away and came back, as things tend to do in the garden.
Okay, and moving right along, I see you have black-eyed Susans in here. Goldstrom, I guess it is.
Yeah, that is definitely, I call this Black-Eyed Susan Farm. Very native to this property, seem to absolutely love it everywhere. So I weed it out a lot and transplant it, but they're happy and I love it. I'm an August birthday, so it's
Me
such an
too.
August flower, and I just enjoy it.
I hadn't thought of that. That's one of my birthdays, too.
Yeah. And then there's a pond as we kind of move forward. It's not in the best shape. If you scan across it, there's a pair of waders, so that's what I'm doing after you folks leave
Oh, okay.
today. But it's about,
A gardener's horse is never there?
yeah, 15 years old.
What is that? Gardeners never die? They just fade away?
Yes. And feels like I'm spading away today, but it's a little choked out actually with lilies. I need to thin it, and I haven't done it.
You're not going to do that today, though.
I
You're not
might.
going to thin it?
I might.
Oh, good
Yeah,
grief.
there's the waiters. But lots of rocks. You'll see a lot of big stone, little stone on the property.
Oh, big rocks around
Yeah.
where you build up for the
Yep.
in-ground pool.
Yeah, I have a minor's bachelor's degree in geology, so I really appreciate stones and
I
where
love
they came from and what made them and
Now down
how they
towards
got to be
the
here.
grass side, you're going to find a collection of round rocks, Dave. Oh, and you put some other things in there.
Yeah. Yep.
I like that sparkly one.
Yeah, I've added to it a bit over the time, but about half of what you see there are actual stone.
And that's a pudding stone underneath.
Yep,
Yeah.
really gorgeous pudding stone.
That's the first one that we've seen, isn't it, Dave?
But the round rocks are just where glacier meltwater was running over a stone caught in a hollow, and they
Yeah.
just turn and tumble into a round thing, which I think is pretty amazing for a rock. And I just appreciate the nature's force
Yes.
in that, God's hand
Yeah.
in making that.
I went out along the farmer field and got some just rocks, but I couldn't get them big enough to be showy, so I had to
Yeah.
pile them up on top of one another.
There
And
you
I
go.
still can't see them in the garden. Yeah, you got a lot of beautiful garden art here too.
Yeah. Collected over time. Again, my birthday's in the summer, so it's usually where I find find my presents, and my husband says, okay. So that works.
No, I'm not sure Dave can get the bird down there. Is that a sandhill crane? Or is it a heron?
I think it's a heron. That's a sculpture my mom had. And it's actually made out of some kind of PVC, so it's flexible and it kind of bobs. And I don't have fish in the pond right now. It's just not large enough and kind of vital enough, but also when we had it, the herons came and ate them.
Yeah, they will do
So
that.
there's a lot of frogs in there, and
Yeah,
a lot of birds love it. So
Yeah, on garden tours, I have found some unusual ways that some of the homeowners protect their fish.
yeah.
What was it? Chicken wire,
Oh,
just below the surface,
yeah.
so that they couldn't get in there.
I'm not as enamored as fish as pets. But we've got one of the dappled willows that I saw on garden tour, I don't know, 15 years ago, and I just love the foliage of that. And like most people that own a dappled willow have discovered, they take a lot of effort to keep contained.
Yeah,
They
I'm going to
can-
cut mine right back down
Yeah.
and let it sprout again.
Yep, they will do it. They're hardy, but you have to keep on them or they will get away. But I like kind of a little bit of screening for the pool and the deck that we have up there. That's really kind of my living space for most of the summer is that deck, and I love to swim, and have some grandbabies, so we enjoy the pool.
Yeah, I imagine they do. I know that my great-grandchildren now are enjoying my
yeah.
pool. Yeah, the beautiful daylilies that are popping out over there
Yeah.
along the edge of the big rocks.
Yeah. They go all around the back of the pool. The soil is really not very good, and I don't water them ever. So they're a little stressed this year, but they seem to hang in there, and there's probably 6 or 7 pretty fundamental varieties, but a lot of beautiful yellows and oranges and russets.
And there are a lot of plants that will just grow on top of the cement.
Yeah, that is true.
I've got Annabelle hydrangeas. There's no soil where they're growing.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. And what's the other? Siberian iris. I thought, well, I lost those. I set them on the edge of the driveway, and I thought, well, we won't have those. The winter came, and they were still growing the next year.
Yeah, plants have their way.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Sometimes they really want to survive, and I hear one of your visitors in your pond. I hear
Yeah.
a frog in there.
There
build
is
a,
indeed.
Build a pond, and they will come.
Yeah.
We're going to have Dave turn around and look
Yeah.
at your spring-fed pond.
Yeah, kind of where you see the aspen and all the shrubby growth, there is a spring-fed pond in there. I have not yet learned the secret of keeping that managed and open.
Well, why not
Um,
just leave it that way for
yeah,
the
yep.
wildlife?
And that actually it used to be a mown area, and we dug a pond, and apparently there was a hearty natural spring there. So it's become a wetland, and we see a tremendous amount of bird life in that area. And then beyond that is Wabascon Creek.
Yeah,
and,
well, you can see the creek from here too,
yeah,
easily.
Yep.
You got a little rough water there.
Yeah.
You have some stones or something out
Yep,
there to make it
we
happen?
have some stones, and that's always been that was my dad's job, and now my brothers come home and do it, is kind of building up the rocks and making a little waterfall and trying to direct the flow of the stream so it keeps it scoured out well. But it's just a beautiful piece of property. I loved growing up here. Returned about 25 years ago, so when I was...
That's when your mother built the house next door?
Yeah, yep, we built the house next door for Mom and Dad,
Yeah.
and my husband and I, Dave and I, bought it and raised our kids here, and it's getting to be a bit much, but I will enjoy it while I can, and then I'll... with that.
Ooh, there's a little hummingbird.
Yeah, yep, there he goes. Yeah. Feed the birds quite a lot here, and we have seen more hummingbirds this year than I think ever before. So we've enjoyed that, and we're sitting on the deck where you can view the pond and the creek
And I'm looking at some of the plants that you're going to put in this container over here, and this is a really pretty one.
Yeah, I like the little calibrachoas. They just make them in so many different colors.
Chameleon Sunshine Berry.
Yeah, of course. Why
they
not?
have to have clever names, don't they?
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to thank you for letting us come and videotape, and also thank you for being on Garden Tour. Everything benefits Lyle Arboretum Society, and that's near and dear to your heart because it was near and dear to your mom's heart.
Absolutely.
She was the one of the group that really got things started over there back in, what was that, 82?
I'm sure. I'm going to go with that. But she was a founding member of the current modern Lila Arboretum.
And I think
loved it, was on the garden tour herself twice.
And it's, I don't know, I don't think there's any remaining members of that group.
Oh gosh, well, that's sad.
I think when Bobby passed away,
okay.
she was one of the last ones.
Yeah, well, bless their hearts.
Yes,
Thank
they
them
did.
all for
Yes,
that treasure.
I certainly enjoyed what they started over there as a volunteer.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again, and enjoy the garden tour.
Well, thank you, Vi. Thanks for being here.
If you would like to become a Master Gardener, call 969-0270, extension 116. If you have questions or suggestions about this show, call 963-1448.
AccessVision. Your voice, your community.